Yeah.
All right. Hi, I'm Beth.
And I'm Staney.
And you're listening to Mixed Politics. Welcome to episode 43.
43. It's one more than the last one.
Yes.
But this is just part 2.
Part 2.
So, in the interest of time, we are drinking the same thing. Jefferson Reserve bourbon.
Cutwater.
All right.
All right. Let's dive in. So we were talking in the last episode, at the tail end of last episode.
So this is part 2.
This is part 2. Go back and watch part 1 if you have not already. I was making the point about Biden's current situation, breaking news in the past 48 hours. A lot of shit has changed. But currently where it stands, the Democratic Party is in shambles because some people want to kick Biden out of the race. Others want to keep him in. My point this entire time has been, why would you think that he should exit the race but not exit the presidency? Because Kamala Harris is the vice president. She is fully capable of the job. And I think that it is insulting to her that people are saying that he should just stay in their job of the presidency, swimming in mediocrity while she does all the work. So
The American public is not concerned with insulting Kamala Harris.
Well,
she is a black and mixed woman.
this is why
Don't nobody give a fuck about insulting her. She is the prime target for insults.
it's not about people at large. It's about the Democratic Party. They have to show that they actually do give a shit about their voters.
They do. So, this is what we're faced with.
Yes.
And it's so weird because we're faced with this and a lot of other things since the time he had the debate kerfluffle to right now. It's been like every 6 hours is something new. It was I think I woke up this morning and it was Adam Schiff and Nancy Pelosi was trying to get him to like quit the party, quit the campaign, quit everything.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, cool. Continuation from yesterday. No problem. And then it was like, at around noon, it was like, President Biden has COVID. And so he's canceling his Las Vegas rally. And I'm like, okay, you can't really do anything about illness. So we're dealing with like Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff. Adam Schiff is an all-star in Congress. And I think he's running for the Senate right now.
Correct.
In California.
California.
Right. And so I looked at those two things and I was just like, all right, that's it for the day. We're good. No problem.
So
By 4 o'clock, by 3 o'clock, it was like Obama had chimed in. And Obama's like, I think Joe needs to, I think Joe needs to probably reevaluate his current situation.
Good job.
And I spoke to him, but he's pretty adamant. Is my Obama still good? Is my Obama impression still amazing?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I spoke to the American people, and I have a pulse on the take that everyone wants. I think he should bow.
It's very hard for me to listen to all of this because I've been involved in politics for 20 plus years, almost 25 years. 4 months is not enough time.
It's not enough time. It's not enough time to get a new person,
Nope.
to learn what they're about, to
Nope.
understand their politics, to decide if we like them or not. You know what the funny part is? We're looking at this card. See this card right here? It says the GOP versus the Democratic
Strategy.
on
Winning strategy.
winning strategies specifically. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, bro, like the Democrats are between a rock, a hard place, and a pile of shit.
But they don't need to be.
But they don't need to be. They don't need. And you know what? Let me take the reins for a little bit.
Okay.
Allow me. I'm good at this now. Promise.
I will sit back.
The GOP is behind their dude. No matter what. Grab him by the pussy. That's our guy.
That is point number 1 right here. That is
Oh,
exactly
see?
what
I didn't write on that card. That's not my handwriting.
So we don't care who, just as long as they push the GOP agenda.
Yeah. Grab him by the pussy. That's our guy. When he made fun of the fucking...
The journalist?
The journalist that was disabled. Mm-hmm. That's our guy. Mm. Mexicans are coming, they're rapists, they're whatever. That's our guy. Muslim ban, which is fucking ridiculous. That's our guy. When he fucking made the fucking head of the EPA a guy that has been sued by the EPA 12 times, that's our guy. And like everything else since, he's our only presidential nominee that has had 31 fucking felonies and is a convicted felon. Like you don't understand, like companies that don't hire felons cannot hire Donald J. Trump, and we're talking about giving him the presidency, and they're still like, that's our guy.
Also, I will add to
he got shot by a registered Republican. Mm-hmm. Even the Republicans don't want him. Mm-hmm. And that's our guy.
One more for you. Mitch McConnell said,
that ain't my guy.
Mitch McConnell said.
He go right in.
Mitch McConnell said after January 6th, Donald Trump is responsible for what happened on January 6th, and he could be prosecuted after he leaves office. And Mitch McConnell recently said, that's my guy.
That's my dude. JD Vance, who we have on fucking record, video, talking shit about Trump for the last 8 years, is like, that's my president. Because I'm vice president.
I'm going to go work for him.
I'm going to work for him. And the fucking Democrats. We talked about this earlier this week with the Al Franken situation.
Yes.
The Democrats are so... All right, so let me be honest with you. I know I've been drinking and whatever, but the GOP, the conservatives, have their platform or their issues or their whatever is dear to them. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter who or what you are, where you come from, what you look like. As long as you're supporting this, you're a guy. Because they were behind Vivek Ramaswamy from whatever. Yeah. As long as you're for the program, as long as you're on the team, we'll never turn our backs on you. Exactly. Just say you're for the team.
Just push our agenda and
we're good. The Democrats are not like that politically.
No way.
The Democrats are a collection of people. Please listen to me very goddamn carefully. The Democrats are a collection of people that are just not conservative. Mm-hmm. And because that's such a large swath of fucking people, it's not cohesive. There's no unity. Like, the GOP can rally behind abortion and like white nationalism or Christian nationalism, right, or nationalism or xenophobia or homophobia or whatever. What is the one thing that the Democrats are like, we are all behind this thing? It's not, and I know a lot of people are thinking right now, they'll be like, well, progress and science and social justice. That's not true. That's not true. I can give you maybe right now off the top of my head 6, 7 different categories of Democrats and the agenda that they want to push. You have the people who are for universal single-payer healthcare and they don't care about nothing else. You have the people who care about LGBT rights and they don't care about nothing else. You have the people who care about CHIP and SNAP and welfare and a safety net and they don't care about nothing else. You have the people who care about Medicaid and Medicare and they don't care about nothing else.
Mary
you have
Kay.
I know, Mary Kay. You have the people who care about immigration and what's happening with that. And you understand? So there are so many different sects.
It's a broad coalition.
And the only thing that they have in common is we're not conservative.
Yes.
While the conservatives are just like, fuck abortion, we want our guns, fuck trans people, God. And man and woman should be married, and fuck immigrants. And like, no matter what, as long as somebody's on the stage saying one of those things, it's like, yeah, yes, yeah, that's our fucking guy. And it's like, so if you take that and apply it to how Democrats do politics, you'll get somebody on stage and they're just like, LGBTQ rights. And they're like, yeah. And then somebody be like, yeah, but the Mexicans are taking our jobs. And then be like, oh, well, yeah, they are. We might need to discuss that. We might need to explore that and come to like a common ground and like Venn diagram and see, you know, what can we do for you people while not taking for our people. And then you have somebody yell out in the corner, well, what about the black vote? And you're like, oh, okay, well, all right, that too. we gotta take care of that. And then like, all right, and then, well, what about the old people? And you're like, oh shit, we gotta, fuck.
That was me last episode.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, old people. It's like, but do the old people like immigrants? And it's like, well, nah, they shouldn't get back. It's like, okay, and now it's a bag of fucking confusion because we don't have the one thing that the GOP. I say we because I don't vote for assholes. But I'm really not a Democrat.
Neither of us are Democrats. Neither of us are Republicans.
Because the shit pisses me off too, which is what I'm describing right now. It's like the GOP. They're just like, we're gonna rally behind.
They're gonna
bigotry and fuck y'all.
They do not,
and that's it.
They do not recognize or care about how it's perceived by the rest of the world.
No, because they know hypocrisy doesn't matter, and we talked about that.
We did.
Which is exactly how JD Vance can talk shit about Trump for 8 fucking years,
right,
and then be the vice president and just be like, "Hey man, you know the shit I said about you earlier."
Yeah.
I mean, you know what it is, right? It's cool.
By the way, when he says we talked about this, he means we talked about this privately. We talked about this in text messages.
Yeah.
We did not talk about this on the previous episode, but it is very much something that we talked about privately.
It's fucking crazy.
Hypocrisy does not matter to the Republican Party.
Right, which benefits them.
It does. That's my whole, one of my biggest issues with the Democratic Party is the reason the Republicans keep winning, and their winning strategy is they don't waste time on hypocrisy. They don't waste time on all these fringe issues. They stick to the big five.
What? The big five: abortion, guns, immigration,
religion,
welfare handouts, and religion.
Yes,
That's it. That's their whole thing.
That's what they stick to.
But on the Democrat side, we got to be dealing with 27 fucking different things, and like we all can't get together.
And perfect is the enemy of good with the Democratic Party.
Hey, I keep bringing up Al Franken because that shit pissed me off. The Democrats would rather cut off their own nose to look like they're on the right side of history. Mm-hmm. And it was something I said to you earlier in the week. I was just like, who gives a fuck about history? History is written by the winners. If you don't win, you don't have a say.
Exactly.
Like if Donald Trump wins this fucking presidency, for the next 20 years, he's going, in the history books, it's going to look like he's the greatest president that's ever existed. Because he did it twice.
And also because...
And he got shot at.
And also because he was able to appoint all these people to the Supreme Court that are rewriting the laws.
Right. So it's so very difficult to compare because you have one party that's like a cult and then you have another party that's like a Congress.
I'll put it a different way. You have one party that is in lockstep no matter what, and another party who's trying to appease everybody single else. Person. Every person in the coalition is trying to be appeased. You can't win that way.
Wait. You can win that way in different times, in different climates, in different eras. That is not the era. This current era is not the era.
Well, actually, I can say you can win that way if you run the Democratic Party locally and not worry about the national party having to take the image of what the Democratic Party is.
And the perfect example of that is England recently in their election. They completely flipped their whole government is now liberal.
The Liberal Party.
Which no one imagined.
No, it's been forever since the Labour Party has
14 years.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Also, France. France just had elections and the conservatives thought they had it wrapped up. Le Pen thought she sewed it up. And I don't know what the fuck happened. I'm so confused too. I'm still reading about it. Because I'm like, what happened in France? I really thought y'all had this. I thought y'all had Macron was out. Just
what happens with grassroots organizations that are very... That's
what happened with Obama.
Right, exactly. They do not get caught up in making everyone happy. They get caught up in making sure that certain segments of people that are most prominent are happy. The winning strategy of the Republican Party is we don't care who, we don't care what, we don't care when, so long as they push the agenda.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party...
And that's exactly what Trump did with the fucking judges.
Yes. And the Democratic Party keeps getting caught up in trying to be perfect. Mm-hmm. You cannot be perfect. Nobody is perfect. No party is perfect.
You just got to take the little bit. You get some this time. You get some next time. Whatever. But it's oh my god. And that's literally how the GOP works. They're like, we got abortion this time. All right, next time. What do we want next?
That's actually the last talking point that I never got to
Go.
with the whole. We were talking in the last episode about Biden's age and why I take issue with people even talking about that. But it's now turned into this giant. It's snowballed. It's turned into this big monster that nobody can get rid of at this point. But we just saw, and this goes into the GOP strategy, we just saw a 49-year long game with the Republican Party.
See what that game was long
to overturn Roe v. Wade. 49 years.
They were patient in a motherfucker.
They knew the end game, and they played it the entire time. They made small...
I don't know what would be important to me for 50 years.
They understood that their end game was to overturn Roe v. Wade, and they did small, progressive, not progressive like the Democratic Party progressive,
but moving forward.
Yes, moving forward one step at a time, going over, taking over local judiciaries, local offices in the state and the city levels, county levels, school boards. They had this organizational movement at the local, state, and federal level to take over any particular segment that could have influence over laws. 49 years. And part of that was getting Donald Trump elected so that he could appoint conservative justices to the Supreme Court.
A big part of that was getting Reagan elected.
Reagan was the first president that made it his personal mission to bring religion back into politics. And I say back into politics, although it was never really this deeply embedded in politics, but he wanted to bring religion into politics in a way that had never been done before. And he also dismantled the fairness doctrine so that media could talk about one issue but not have to balance it
the
with
fair and balance,
an opposing view. So 49 years of a long game. The Democratic voters are tripping over this bad debate that Joe Biden had, and that began the snowball effect that we are in right now.
Yeah.
Stop.
I wish they would have just come out like the GOP comes out and either A, doubles down or just sidesteps it completely.
Yeah.
Like, I wish they would have just came out and been like, yeah, he had a bad debate. Moving on.
That's what they should have done. But imagine what it's like to be Joe Biden at this point. That every single word that you utter, people are judging, people are looking and analyzing, people are saying, is he okay? Is he not okay? Did he say that wrong? Does he really mean what he said? Yourself in the shoes of a person who is definitely different now than he was 12 months ago. I admit that. But sometimes it when somebody feels that kind of pressure, they end up making more mistakes than they would otherwise.
Some people are Michael Jordan, and they're just like, okay, you want me to drop 50? Cool. Not the majority of the world is not that. They crumble under the weight of the pressure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the Democratic Party. So let me kind of just revisit that. The GOP is we don't care who, we don't care what, we don't care when, we don't care why.
That's their strategy.
So long as they push the GOP agenda, that's our person.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party is basically,
are you flawless?
Do they hit all the special categories? Do they make everybody feel comfortable? Do they have the right image? Do they have the right abilities for all
have they never made a mistake?
Have they never made a mistake? What's their social media look like? Did they said all the right things every time they've been on camera? Do they look right? Do they sound right? Do they never make mistakes? Stop.
That's nuts to me. That's they're like, and I don't think they actually sat down and said, this is what we're doing. I think it just kind of morphed into that.
It's because...
And no one stopped it.
It's because of what I talked about the last episode.
Yeah.
Far too many people are placing the presidency on this pedestal. That the president needs to make me feel good.
Can you imagine?
Why?
Can you imagine what would happen though? And like I hesitate to say this, and while I'm speaking, I'm trying to find the right words. Can you imagine what would happen to the Democratic Party if they were just like, hey, listen, group of people, this election cycle, we ain't on that.
It would go far. It would go far.
Because I think their fear is that this group of people, whether it's immigrants, gays, trans, Jewish people, blacks, etc., would just be like, "Oh, you're not dealing with me this election cycle? Okay, cool. I'm over there then," and that all the votes would just go to the GOP. But I really do believe,
or they would just not vote at all.
I really do believe that some kind of articulation or some kind of inspiration could be like, listen, nobody's saying that issue for these people isn't important. It is. However, that ain't gonna help us win right now. And according to this strategy, we can't focus on that. So I'm sorry. But winners stack the courts, winners write history. And if you want us to actually get to your thing, we gotta win first. That's what the Democrats don't understand.
They don't.
They don't understand that part.
Is the exact strategy I have to use at work all the time. Is we have a full list of things that we need to get accomplished, but we have to have priorities.
Yes, we're on these 5.
Mm-hmm. And some people say, but wait a second, I need to have my shit done. And I'm like, I get you. It goes a long way to tell people, yes, I know. I understand the urgency. I understand the impact of you not having this thing right now. But let me make the case. There's a reason for you to be down number 5 on the list.
Yeah.
Because these other 4 things that you're not part of, that you're not aware of, these other 4 things have a larger impact than what you have right now.
I do this at work all the time.
Yes.
In my job, I do this at work all the time.
It's about transparency.
It's like, listen. We have to have the servers up. Yes. We have to have the data allocation. We have to have WMS. We have to have OMS. We have to have PKMS or whatever.
Yes.
But none of this works if it pops out.
Yes, exactly.
So we have to fucking focus on keeping the power on.
Yes, exactly. Priorities. We have to have priorities. Number 4 on the list can't happen unless numbers 1, 2, and 3 happen first.
Yeah.
Let me bring this back to what we were starting to touch on at the tail end of the last episode, which is the winning strategy for the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Let me reiterate how we got here, because so many people were pissed off that Joe Biden decided to run for re-election, because he had started by saying he was a one-term president.
He did?
He did mention that he was just going to run for one term in 2020. And that's why a lot of people were drawn to him, because they didn't like the whole career politician. I get it. But let's rewind the clock a little bit to January of 2021. Mm-hmm. Tell me you didn't think that Donald Trump was just donezo after January 6th. I think that even Biden and Harris at that point were like, yeah, Donald Trump's just going to be gone after this. So Biden can be a one-term president.
We are living in some strange fucking times.
We are.
Where you can have an insurrection against the government, and then the following election cycle, you're the nominee.
You're right. I don't want to spend too much time on that. So I think we all believed that after the 2020 election, Donald Trump was going to disappear, because he even said so. He was just like, if I lose this election, I don't know you guys. I don't want to talk to you guys anymore.
That I remember.
Yes. So Biden could say in 2020, if I win, I've done my duty. I've done my civic duty.
I've saved the country.
I've saved the country, and I can just do 4 years and be done. But Donald Trump did not disappear. So please do not be angry at Biden for something that Donald Trump did. He didn't disappear. Therefore, Biden's the only guy who's ever beaten him. So he's kind of like, well, I guess I got to do this again. It's my civic duty to beat this guy.
Can you imagine the fucking AI pictures of Biden was just like, fuck, I got to do this again?
Right.
And like Superman fucking.
Yes, exactly. So I wanted to really level set that don't be pissed at Biden for running a second term when Trump is the one who won't fucking go away, okay?
And Trump is the exact same age that Biden was elected at right now. Right now.
So that's why we are here. So the media has made this whole big thing about Biden and his age. We talked about it in the last episode, how I feel about that, which is, if y'all just simmer down and stop talking about it,
it'll go away.
Nobody would care. We've had presidents incapacitated before, and
we
were all just fine. So
two
Two?
Woodrow Wilson and Franklin D. Roosevelt.
No, he died of a stroke, and he was.
No,
Right.
but he was in the wheelchair. He was not.
That doesn't make him incapacitated.
Yeah, but they hit a lot of his illnesses and ailments during,
Well,
and then they extended his fucking presidency because it was like, well, it's a time of war and whatever. Like they made
you're
so
talking
many.
something totally different. You're talking something completely different. No. He was in a wheelchair, but he was fully mentally capable of being president.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm talking about the president Woodrow Wilson, who was mentally incapacitated. Like he had a stroke and he was nonverbal. He could
Right.
not speak.
That's the extreme. I'm just saying that there's like a spectrum.
Yeah.
And Biden doesn't fall in either of these.
He does not fall in either of
He's
these.
neither in a wheelchair and he can speak.
That's a good point. Not to say there's anything wrong with being in a wheelchair.
Right.
Because again, go watch episode 1 because I made the point that you can be nonverbal and you can still lead. So we're not saying that you have to be of a certain. I take issue with people saying you have to look a certain way and be a certain way to be a president.
You have to look like JFK.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, I do not believe that you have to look and be because I don't think the president runs my life. I don't want him to.
Boy, JFK did look like the goddamn president, though. He did. I'm
gonna come back to that because here I am I'm gonna lay out.
Whenever I picture president of the United States, I picture that guy like standing up to fucking Russia and saying, "If you cross that line."
Everybody remember this in about 7 minutes when I make my point. And the fact that you brought up Kennedy is so gold right now.
Okay.
We do not share talking points beforehand.
We've
so he
never
has
done that.
no idea where I'm going with this. I still believe Democrats should stick with Biden. He is the incumbent. And there are 13 points Alan Lichtman has laid out that that identifies
and being
who
incumbent
wins.
is like a top one. Incumbents usually win.
I have to lay this out first. So
Majority of the time.
I didn't intend to talk about Alan Lichtman's points first, but I kind of feel like I need to.
You got to
go
tell these
into-
people who Alan Lichtman is.
Alan Lichtman is, he's a guy who has predicted all of the winners of the presidential elections since 1980. He could have gone back further, but he basically took all of the statistics from all presidential elections, and he worked with a Harvard professor, somebody who wrote a book. They worked together. He laid out 13 key points on who would win the presidency. He predicted that Donald Trump was going to win in 2016. He was right about that.
He's been right about everything except one, I believe.
No, he predicted that Al Gore was going to win in 2000.
And he did
Al
by
Gore,
the votes.
He did, but the Supreme Court overturned it. So he has been right all of the time. So the 13 points he lays out is that number 1, party mandate in Congress, whether they won in the most recent midterms. Number 2, no primary contest. Number 3, that person is the incumbent. Number 4, there's no viable third party candidate.
And there isn't currently.
Yes. Number 5, strong short-term economy. Number 6, a strong long-term economy. Number 7, major policy change. If you think about the student loan situation,
Which
the infrastructure bill,
which literally got blocked while we were talking about this episode.
Yeah, but the infrastructure bill and the CHIPS Act, like he's had major policy.
Yeah.
Number 8, no sustained social unrest. There's really no social.
We haven't had a
unrest
George Floyd. You know,
we haven't had any. And number 9, no major scandal. Number 10, no foreign or military failure. Number 11, major foreign and military success. Number 12, charismatic incumbent. And number 13, uncharismatic challenger. Those are the 13 points that determine who is likely to win the next election.
it's a pretty good fucking list.
It's a very good list.
Yeah, because so I've read about this on various news sites and whatever, and I know who this guy is, and I read those points. I honestly didn't know. Like I never went. First of all, just mistake of mine. I thought there were 10. I didn't know. I didn't. Maybe I misread. But that 13th point. Read that again.
Uncharismatic challenger.
Yeah. Which almost everyone that has lost in the last 25 years has been uncharismatic. Herman Cain,
Mitt Romney,
John McCain, John Kerry, not Mitt Romney, Al Gore.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I think that's probably the biggest one.
Michael Dukakis.
Okay.
Walter Mondale.
Fucking Ralph Nader. Newt Gingrich. Get the fuck out of here.
Walter Mondale back in 1984. Jimmy Carter in 1980.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Gerald Ford in 1976. I mean, if you go back to the 1970s, the uncharismatic
You know, the
person,
weird thing about and why this is such a serious point is because no matter what you think of former President Donald J. Trump, he is charismatic as fuck with at least 78 million people. Can't deny those stats. Those are straight numbers.
the only reason I take issue with that is because I personally
Don't find him charismatic.
don't find him charismatic because he's very unintelligent and very much at a fifth grade level. So,
By the way,
but I
this is backed
understand-
up by evidence. Like we were listening to a clip earlier where he was just like, this is an issue that is a national emergency," and he goes, those are two very big words," and I'm like, what big words? National and emergency?
A national emergency. Two very big words.
okay.
What was he on?
I don't know, but he was talking about that
National
was,
and emergency are two not just big words, very big words.
Very big
It's
words.
like, bro, go sit down somewhere, man.
I find him to be extremely unintelligent, and that's a trigger for him. He's very insecure about his intelligence level.
He's
So-
a stable genius. So obviously.
Only stable geniuses have to say that they're stable geniuses. Anyways, so those are the 13 points that Alan Lichtman has laid out to determine who will win the next presidency. Until recently, he was very confident that Biden was going to win.
Until today, pretty much.
As of the time that we started recording this episode, Alan Lichtman was live streaming on YouTube talking about how the Democrats need to handle this situation. But I had already written my talking points for this, and I had already predicted exactly what needed to happen. And Alan Lichtman was live streaming exactly what I was saying.
I have no
just have to
talking
say-
points for this. I just want the public to know I'm just here to ad lib.
Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to lay out the two possible... Now, I don't even know if Alan Lichtman even addressed point number 2, because I think I'm the only person who has brought this up, and I'm
Yeah.
so proud of it. But we'll get to that. Point number 1. I still think stick with Biden. 4 months is way too short of a time frame to have all of this primary shit going on. But also, I made this point in the last episode, and I am going to die on this hill. I will die on this hill. So I'm going to make it again. I'm going to make this point again.
Okay.
You say, well, you, not you.
Yeah.
If someone were to say that Joe Biden is not capable of running for president, but he's still capable of being president, I have to ask why.
I will stick with my point of being president means today. Being elected president means the next 4 years. And I personally right now don't want Joe Biden to drive me to Cedar Point.
I understand that.
I'll drive. I'm cool if you in the car giving directions,
Let me make
giving
my
instructions,
point.
but I'm out.
Let me make my point for this episode. And that is that it is insulting as a woman. It is insulting to hear that there is an expectation that Vice President Harris should take over the campaign and she should do all of the work while the sitting president just swims in mediocrity, filling in the position while she does everything. I submit that the winning strategy number 1, winning strategy number 1 is you stick with Biden. If he's fit to be president, he's fit to run for president, okay? Just stick with him. Hold on, let me finish. But if you think that he should resign from the race, he should resign from the office. Do not tell me that the woman who's sitting in the vice presidency, who is capable of doing the job of president, should sit by and do all of the work while he sits in the office and gets all of the accolades, sitting as the current incumbent while she does everything and risks the election. This brings me to point number 1. This is winning strategy number 1. If you're going to dump Biden, force him out of office now. Force him to resign the presidency so that Kamala Harris is the current incumbent. She takes over the presidency, And she has all of the momentum of being the first woman president. She has all of the excitement.
We've seen that, and it didn't work.
Can I finish?
Go on.
Okay. She is now the sitting president. It's not a question of if she is president, is she is actually president. She gets the next 4 months of the momentum of all the people who are excited about having a woman president. And she is actually doing the job. It alleviates the questions of people who think, can she do it?
Oh.
They see she is doing it.
Okay.
And we're going to keep her. And she gets to choose a vice president that can appease the people in the coalition who want to see somebody different on the ticket. I'm seeing a lot of interviews with people in the Black community who are saying, we're with Biden all the way. And part of the reason that they're a little upset that people are dumping Biden right now is because they see that Vice President Harris is a heartbeat away and she should be given the shot. They elected him because she was part of the ticket. And how dare you have her sitting in that seat and not allow her the privilege of being able to do the duties that she's capable of doing. That's what I'm seeing right now. The Congressional Black Caucus is with Biden, and I'm with them. They're also with Harris, and I'm with them. Let her do the job.
So, very similarly to what you're proposing right now, and advocating for Kamala Harris, which would please my soul and my daughter, because she liked the fact that Kamala Harris has a Jamaican dad.
Yes.
Just like she does.
Yes.
However, we've literally seen the worst case scenario of this situation going back to Woodrow Wilson. His vice president, Thomas Marshall, didn't win the presidency, and they sought to keep him out of the limelight, and also they kept him in the dark concerning Woodrow Wilson's medical and physical state.
They did.
Because they were like, we don't trust you to be a good president.
Mm-hmm. That's why the vice president you choose is important.
Right. So what I'm saying is, just because you feel that way doesn't mean the majority of the electorate feels that way. Because this has happened before, where we had a totally incapacitated president and they were like, not the vice president, absolutely not. And he didn't even run for election after Woodrow Wilson. Let
me correct the record on that. There was a reason that the vice president didn't win the re-election campaign of that. It's because the White House at that time in 1919 was denying that Woodrow Wilson was incapacitated. They were keeping everybody in the dark.
So they were trying to keep him running for the next election.
He wanted to run for the next election. He wanted to actually run for the next election.
Well, Thomas R. Marshall, who was vice president at the time, didn't do anything in politics after that. He reopened. He was a lawyer before. Mm-hmm. He opened his law practice and lived out his days doing that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at that as the precedent, for lack of a better word.
I understand.
And it's like just because you vice president don't mean you ready to be president. Like you're good to be president.
Things were very different back then.
Who was George Bush's vice president?
Which one? Senior?
W.
George W. Bush was Dick Cheney.
Okay. I don't want that dude to be president.
I agree. I agree. We've talked about Dick Cheney before, actually.
I love the dichotomy of our podcast.
Yeah.
Where you were like, I voted for Bush twice. And I was like, I never voted for Obama once.
Right.
I just didn't.
I like that. I like that because we come by all of our opinions and our viewpoints honestly.
Yeah.
We have a history.
Yeah. And we can understand and also sympathize but also empathize with the various sides. Because I grew up conservative Christian. So I totally understand that. And and I've forever been black. But I've never voted for the black president that had 2 terms. I know that's probably shocking because I know everyone expects every black person went out and voted for Obama. And I was just like, I don't assume that. His first term, I was just like, I don't trust this motherfucker. I don't. First of all, like the stuff that they've talked about, like what kind of black person are you? You've never done any black thing.
Can we not talk about
No,
blackness?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then the second presidency was like, I know exactly why I don't trust you. You drone people.
Okay. Let me steer us back to the topic. I'm a little concerned. I might have to cut that out.
Don't. First of all, Obama, this is the third time I'm disappointed in you because you came out and you fucking ruffled the feathers of what possibly could work. You made it more difficult. You did. And it had nothing to do with me. Had nothing to do with this fucking shit. You did it today at 4:00. Okay. I didn't have nothing to do with that.
I still have to make my second point, but I do want to make a very short segue because I was telling him before we start, in between episode 1 and 2, I told him my theory about why Obama may have spoken out today.
And I agree with it. It's possible.
Today, as we're recording this, it is the final evening of the Republican National Convention, and Trump is speaking tonight.
For the first time.
For the first time since the attempted assassination. So I told him that initially I was really pissed. I actually texted him. I will put it up on the screen here. I texted him. I was really pissed. And I was like, Obama spoke out. It's fucking done for Biden.
He's fucked it.
It's like he totally fucked it up. And as the night went on, I was watching some of the coverage of the Republican National Convention. I saw that they were preparing for Trump to speak tonight. And I thought, I wonder... Because Obama's a smart man. He's a smart politician and he's a smart individual.
I would never say that dude is dumb. That dude is a great politician.
Very good, smart individual and smart politician. I told Staney, I wonder if maybe they chose today to kind of leak to the media that he was asking if, Biden needed to reevaluate his situation of running in this election. Because they knew that Trump would see the media attention on potentially Biden not being in the race. All of Trump's models, the statistics,
polls,
the strategy of Trump's campaign is based solely on Biden being his opponent. So I wonder if Obama actually chose today, the day of Trump's speech, to leak to the media that he thinks that Biden might not be the right person to run in this race, to get into Trump's head, to kind of throw him off balance a little bit before he was speaking. And let me finish this thought by saying my husband has been texting me. He's been watching. He's at home and he's been watching the speech. And he said that Trump did actually ramble quite a bit in his speech tonight. He went off script. So I kind of...
Isn't that normal, though?
It is normal, but the media has been making, and please do not ever trust the media, because they are fucking manipulating the shit out of all of us. The media has been making this big thing, taking Trump at face value, that he's going to have this speech about unity, that he's a changed man.
I read that. It was all unity.
He's a changed man. And I was like, you really think that Trump is going to not be Trump anymore? Come on. So he was texting me just a little bit ago saying he listened to Trump's speech and he did, in fact, go off script a little bit. He rambled quite a bit. He said he wasn't going to mention Biden's name, and he mentioned Biden's name. So I do think this is a little psychological warfare that Obama might have been playing in Trump's mind of being like...
So you want me to take it further than that? Because I can.
Go for it.
Because I believe that Obama and the people around him, his aides, his whatever, the people who are on staff,
are
so
top tier.
They're top tier political strategists and like in whatever.
I want to work for those people.
No, those people are insane. And I'm thinking that if they could throw the RNC in a frenzy, thinking that they have to throw out all their strategies, because all their strategies have been predicated so far on Biden running, Biden being the incumbent,
Sleepy Joe.
Right. But they have no strategy. They have no battle plan for anyone else.
Exactly.
So if now the RNC is like, shit, we might have to throw out all of our Biden strategies and then think about Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris or Adam Schiff or whoever, right? it's just like we have no plan and we have no strategy for that. And so it could be a Democratic strategy for Obama and Pelosi and Schiff and Schumer and McJeffries and all those people to come out and say, oh, Biden, maybe you should step down or whatever. Because now the RNC would be forced to switch their strategy, and they also don't have a target for their strategy.
Yes.
They don't know who
They
they
don't
could
know who.
strategize for or against.
Right.
And so if they did this, if this was actually the play, it would be some fucking 5D chess. It would be so huge. It's just like, oh, you threw out all the playbook.
It's a risky game.
But you threw out the playbook for 3 weeks and Biden's the nominee. Sorry.
Please let that be the case.
Psyched you out. But this has
Please.
been our guy the whole time. Now,
Please let that be the case.
the world that I live in tells me that that is not the case.
This-
The world that I live in tells me that people get to the point where they break and they're just like, dude, you're not the guy. You shouldn't be the guy. But I've been wrong before. Half the country was wrong when we thought Hillary had it locked up. Which brings me to another point. What if this is a part of a much larger strategy for Donald Trump to own the polls, to own the media, to own social media, to own all of that, and then be like, yes, we got it locked up. We're gonna win. It's a landslide, just like Hillary thought. But the rest of us reasonable fucking people are just like, we're scared as fuck of Donald Trump having a second presidency, especially with the Project 2025 shit that everyone has heard of at very least and should and need to read. We're scared as fuck. And so regardless of if Biden is on a cane with one kidney and there's blood leaking out of his left nostril, we're gonna fucking vote for a goddamn golden retriever before we vote for goddamn Donald Trump. What if so many people are so goddamn scared, they're like, you know, no matter who is on the ticket, it could be a rubber fucking ducky. We'll vote for that over orange asshole. And I don't know if this is a strategy that the DNC has tapped into, where it's like, let's say that let's say that we're fucked up, we're out of sync, we're not behind Joe Biden, he needs to get out, and then everyone else who's for common decency and even decorum is like, just put somebody on ticket. Just put somebody on ticket. Put somebody on a fucking ticket and we'll fucking we'll sign, we'll whatever, but not orange fuck. That could also be a strategy. I think it's it's a Hail Mary. I think that's a Hail Mary. I think what we talked about before of, you know, throwing them off course for 3 or 4 weeks is a more feasible thought pattern.
Yes.
But stranger shit has happened. Stranger shit has happened in the last week.
I know.
Somebody shot the goddamn fucking Republican nominee in the ear.
Yes. Okay, let me bring this back. That was supposed to be a short segue, and that took us like 10, 15 minutes.
It did not take us 15 minutes. It took us 6.
Okay, so let me bring us back to the original point, which is stick with Joe Biden. It is too late. It is too late. 4 months is not enough time to do what you just talked about.
Yeah.
To get a new candidate, to poll test them, to see what the communities think
and
about
then also
them. There's
debates.
the debates that you have a sitting vice president. You make her the president. She gets the momentum of being the first female president. She gets the momentum of she's the incumbent. She hits the 13 points of Alan Lichtman.
Okay.
She wins. Okay. That is, if you're gonna dump Joe Biden, Harris
That's
is
where
the
we
person.
go.
That's he doesn't resign the race. He resigns the presidency.
Wait a second. What do you think about Gavin Newsom? Be honest.
Can you let me go through? Yeah, let's come back to that at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is strategy. If you're gonna dump Joe Biden, you have to make Harris the current president. Hands down, that is the only way that you win in that scenario.
That's a really good strategy.
That it has to be. It has to be. But let me submit to you, the people who are perpetually unhappy and have to just have their fucking say. They have to stand up and say, oh, but I don't like Harris. Okay, whatever. 4 months before the race, if you have to be appeased, let me give you the only candidate, not Gavin Newsom,
Okay.
the only candidate who has a shot of winning. And I hate to play into this political narrative of everything is a reality show today, but sometimes you have to meet the voters where they are. Voters like to be entertained. They like to have excitement. They need to have an incentive to get to the polls. So I submit to you, the only other, if you're going to dump Biden and you're going to dump Harris, stupid, Joe Kennedy III. He is young. He is attractive.
The third, not Junior.
Yes. Hold on.
Okay.
He is young. He is charismatic. He is attractive. He has name recognition. He is an experienced politician, but not a career politician, because he has served office and he has left office and he has done something else in the meantime. And he brings that Kennedy versus Kennedy rivalry that people love so much. If you love reality TV, you love a good rivalry.
Junior versus the third. Lad. Okay.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, man.
If you're gonna-
What a spectacle. But it's like, well, the past week is a spectacle.
If you're going to meet the voters where they are, you give them a spectacle. Because Joe Kennedy III used to be a representative in Massachusetts. And he is of the Kennedy family. The Kennedys that you know, yes, he is related. He is, and I will put up a picture of him right here. So he is an upstanding citizen. He is a person of integrity. He does not agree with Robert Kennedy Jr. He is not an anti-vaxxer. He is not a conspiracy theorist. So he brings to the table all of these points that the progressives are always talking about. We want somebody younger. We want somebody who's not a career politician. We want somebody who's going to bring excitement to the polls. Excuse me. And he is going to bring that the rivalry of Kennedy versus Kennedy, to get people excited to vote. The only flaw in that theory is when people see two names, Kennedy, on a ballot, they have to know which one. But I have a solution for that as well, which is there are still some people who believe that pork is white meat because of the commercials in the 1990s. Do you remember these? Pork.
I do.
The other
white meat.
Yes.
I do remember.
You can lean into marketing and commercials to do something like the other Joe.
We've had this conversation over the past 2 weeks about the quarter pounder and the third pounder. And the reason why the third pounder died in America is because a lot of people looked at the 3 and thought it was less than 4. And so the quarter pounder at McDonald's still exists, but the third pounder died because people thought it was less food, less meat.
Yes.
I don't know what to say about that, but
you lean into it.
You lean into that and go with the
so
other Joe.
The other Joe. You see what I'm saying? This is how you win.
The other Joe.
The other Joe.
Son of a bitch. That could work. It really could work.
Thank you.
Because America's wild. It could work. The other Joe. The better Joe. The younger Joe.
The younger Joe. You do what you have to get people to understand that when they are in a point of confusion, you lead them to the conclusion that you need them to get to, which is the conclusion that they want to get to, but you have to sometimes guide them a little bit in the right direction.
Is he interested though?
I don't know. Okay. I don't know. That's the thing. He has to consent to it, but I'm telling you, that is the only candidate that hits all of the points. He hits all the points.
But no, I agree with you, right? But so we still have the point of, does he want to?
Yeah.
Gavin Newsom wants to. So okay, I want your opinion on Gavin Newsom.
He is not.
You don't think he's charismatic? Because he's fucking charismatic.
No. Okay, let me go through this. He is charismatic. He is very intelligent. He has good policies. Yes, but he is not marketable across the nation because of the fact that Fox News has already gotten to tainting his name.
Because, like, you say Gavin Newsom and you're like, capable, gets the job done, California, the world's eighth largest the world's eighth largest economy. If he can run that, he can probably run the country, etc. But then you also get this feeling, and I hate to be like, I don't want to be a part of like the smear campaign or the fucking mob or whatever. But like, no matter what happens, no matter what situation we're in, you say Gavin Newsom, and I think sleazeball.
It's because California.
The fucking slick hair, the fucking. I'm just like, bro.
Yes. The problem with Gavin
optics
Newsom...
are so important.
I think he's a great guy.
I think he's great. But
personally, I think he's great. But the optics of it is that Fox News has been trashing this guy for years. But also, excuse me.
Because they knew he would be the next after Joe.
He just randomly one day was like, I'm going to debate Ron DeSantis. I love the guy for that reason. But Fox News has tainted anything California. That's why Adam Schiff will never work. Nancy Pelosi will never work.
You don't think Adam Schiff's going to win the Senate seat?
I think he is in danger, which is why I think he's asking Biden to step out of the race. Because he
thinks Biden would make it harder for him dragging. Okay.
It's self-serving. It's not because he cares about the Democratic Party.
Because I'm sure they have numbers and statistics that we don't have access to.
Possibly, but here's the thing. He ran against Katie Porter. This is where I disagree with my husband because he loves Adam Schiff. I like Adam Schiff a lot. But when I saw that Adam Schiff was running against Katie Porter, I love Katie Porter, and I think she needs to carry the torch going forward. And he beat out Katie Porter, and I was really pissed about that because I think Adam Schiff, he is of an older generation. I'm not ageist. I'm not saying that he needs to step down completely. But I don't know specifically how old he is. But he's of a different generation. But Katie Porter's very popular, and she was looking for a Senate seat. And I don't think that Adam Schiff needed to run against her. He needed to run against a Republican. And he chose to run against Katie Porter, and I was very upset about that because she needs to be in a Senate seat. I think she deserves to be in a Senate seat because she is very strong. She is the person with the whiteboard. If you're not familiar, she goes into Congress and she talks to these CEOs, these very high visibility people in these corporations that are doing some fucked up shit. And she takes her whiteboard and she draws it out for them and she embarrasses these people in front of the entire nation. That woman needs a Senate seat. But Adam Schiff ran against her. Hang on, let me finish my point. He ran against her. And I think that Adam Schiff is self-serving in saying he thinks that Joe Biden is dragging his own ticket down.
Yeah, so he's trying to self-preservation.
Right.
That's what it's going.
Katie Porter would not care about that. That's why I take issue with Adam Schiff running against Katie Porter because he cares about himself. Katie Porter cares about the seat. And she would not be telling
By the way,
step down.
Adam Schiff is a Democrat and he is a part of the House Judiciary Committee. Right. So I want you to realize that while we're criticizing Adam Schiff as a Democrat, our podcast has always been this. We just criticize whatever the fuck needs to be criticized.
It's
not like we're against the GOP or whatever. Like Beth just spent 5 minutes talking shit, logical shit about Adam Schiff, and I want you guys to understand that.
Yeah.
Now Adam Schiff is 64 years old, so he's definitely not in our generation. He's a generation above, or before ours. But also, his middle name is Bennett. What the fuck is happening?
That's some bougie shit right there.
Adam Bennett Schiff? Can you imagine as a woman, like, carrying a child for 9 months and then, like, fucking pushing this shit out, like, and you're like, Adam, Bennett? Bennett? That's not even that's a last name. Okay, maybe his family, maybe she was like her.
Maybe it's a family name.
Yeah, maybe her family was Bennett and their husband was Schiff. I don't want to, whatever. But that's crazy to be reading about Adam Schiff right now. It's very interesting.
So
but he's 64. I thought he was younger. I thought he was in his 50s.
Oh, I knew he was probably in his 60s. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but what I'm saying is that he has a different tactic than Katie Porter does. She, at this point, if she were running in that election in his position right now, I do not believe that Katie Porter would be asking Biden to step down because of her own impact on the election. She could run on her own merit. She is good at what she does. And I don't think she would care what Biden's doing. So this is the impact of people
I
who.
see what you're saying.
This is the
like,
impact.
Adam Schiff depends on what Biden is doing.
This is why elections matter, because there's a reason that Pelosi and Schiff and Schumer have all come out in the past couple of days.
And Obama now.
And Obama now.
But he's not even in politics, so I don't understand. That's the angle that's like weird for me.
That's why I believe the timing of it is interesting. That it's the day that Trump is giving his speech. Yeah. So, anyways, the GOP strategy is we don't care who, as long as they push the agenda. The Democrat strategy is constantly trying to appease all of the different factions within the coalition, and that's a losing strategy. What you need to do is find the candidate who is going to win, and you have to think about the historical context of political strategies and elections and how they work. I'm going to go back to, it is too late to choose another candidate. You need to stick with Biden if you want to win. But if you're going to dump Biden, you need to go with Harris. But you need to make Biden resign the presidency.
Resign.
Make Harris the incumbent president so that she can have 4 months, 3.5 months of being president. And people are like, by that time,
it's not that bad. She can do it.
By that time, they're like, yeah, she is the president. They're no longer asking, can she? They're like, yeah, she is. And she gets that momentum. But if you're going to dump both of them, go with Joe Kennedy III. Ask him if he would like to run, because he brings everything to the table.
That's the difference between me and you, though. You're like, go ask Kennedy Jr. or Kennedy III if he wants to run. We know for a fact that Gavin Newsom wants to be president.
I don't give a fuck.
He already won, so we don't have to ask. He's there.
Just because somebody wants to does not mean
No,
that
I
they
agree.
should.
It doesn't
but
mean
let me submit to you this.
But we'd have to ask one guy where one guy is like, I'm ready right now.
But there's a reason for that. Think about George Washington. He didn't want the position. That made him perfect for the position. The person who has to be asked to do it is the perfect candidate to do it.
That's a good take. That's a good take for South America. All of the countries in South America. So I totally understand.
The person who seeks it fervently, like Trump, is the last person you
It's
want
like, why
to
you
lead.
want this, fam?
Yeah.
This is a terrible, difficult, in the spotlight, 24/7 shitty job.
It's for
why you
him
want
personally.
this? Why you want this? Oh, so you can dodge convictions.
And for him to have this sense of him
Ultimate
being the
power.
Center of attention and being in power. That is the last person you should possibly want to be in power, is the person who seeks it fervently.
Yeah.
Again, Adam Schiff.
You think Adam Schiff is of that ilk?
Yep, I do. I am not a fan of people. Okay, let me just make a blanket statement. Serving in a political office is supposed to be public
It's service.
It's supposed to be public service. Adam Schiff.
You're not there for yourself. You're there for your constituents or the country or, the greater good of the well-being.
That's right. Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, Matt Gaetz, all of these people who are seeking term after term. Ted Cruz, interestingly, the person who claims he wants term limits but keeps running for re-election. The people who keep seeking term after term after term after term after term, I'm not a fan. Overall, I'm not a fan.
They like the money. They like the benefits. They like the...
They're not in it for public service. They're in it for... The career politicians have made a career out of being a politician. That is defeating the purpose of public service.
Yeah.
We need to get back to... And that's why Joe Kennedy III is a valuable candidate, in my mind, personally.
Because he doesn't even know...
left politics.
He doesn't know what we're talking about him right now.
Exactly. Yes. So you want the person who sees it as public service and not as a way to make money. It's not their career, it's their service, and then they exit. That's what Joe Biden wanted to do. But Donald Trump did not go away, like we said at the top of the episode.
Tell us where these people can find us.
We are on Facebook.
We are
on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We are on all major platforms where you find where you stream podcasts.
Right.
Oh my
and all
God.
you have to do is search Mixed Politics.
Mixed Politics.
With Beth and Staney.
Yes. All the information is here on the screen, so you can see exactly where to link up to us. But we do stream on all major platforms, and we also have a Patreon, and Staney's going to tell you
Right.
about that.
So that is patreon.com/mixedpolitics. And we have a variety of tiers of where you could give back to us as we give to you, whether it is through merch or asking questions through our Discord or other channels where you could get your name or your question featured on the episode. At much, much higher tiers, we would meet you. You would be a member of the podcast. You'd be sitting between us or whatever. It just depends on what, your financial situation is and how much you have in excess. But we do really appreciate even the lowest tier.
Yes.
The people who literally keep the lights on or buy our ring lights or spotlights or our 4K cameras or whatever. We really do appreciate you. So that we don't have to be taken out of our own pocket to do this. And for the people who like and subscribe, I know that's not very many on YouTube, but definitely on all the other audio platforms, we see the numbers, and it is in the thousands. And I'm so I can't even believe that I'm a part of something that's like thousands of people listen to.
It's exciting.
That's crazy. Oh my God! In my bar, that's wild. So we appreciate you. So to all our analysts, pundits, and experts, thank you so much for listening to Mixed Politics and hear us talk about American politics and